speaker, Susannah.
Good evening.
Yeah,
Good evening, master, lecturers,
can...
and brothers and sisters. Please be seated. Good evening. I'm very honored to be invited. Thanks to the grace of heaven, the virtues of our holy teachers, the mercy of our Lao Qianren and Qianren up in heaven. And thank you, master, and thank you, lecturers, for inviting me. And thank you, brothers and sisters, for your attendance. Today, the topic I'm going to share, I'm assigned to share is the 12 links of dependent origination. And it's the first time that I share this topic in English. Actually, I have prepared it for quite a long time. All right, and because the content of my speech may be a little bit long, so just let's get started right now. Okay, talk about dependent origination. It's a concept central to Buddhist philosophy, and it tells us that all things happen through cause and effect. No exception. All things happen through cause and effect. And every phenomenon occurs as a reaction to a previous cause. And then these phenomena also continue to condition the following results. So the 12 links of dependent origination, why do we have to share this topic? Because it explains how samsara, this world full of suffering called samsara, it explains how samsara is created. So to escape, to stay away from samsara, to escape samsara, to achieve enlightenment and escape the endless circle of samsara, we need to understand the philosophy of the 12 links of dependent origination and then practice what we have learned in Tao to break the chain of the 12 links. That's why we have this topic tonight. Okay, let's start from now. Now, no matter what age you are at, no matter how old you are, everyone is growing older and older, moment by moment. Of course, everyone wants to stay young, better stay young forever, but it's impossible. Everyone is growing older. And why are we getting older? Because we were born in this impermanent world. And because we were born, we need to go through the stages of aging, sickness, and death. And those stages are unavoidable. And now we are talking about the 12 links, and we go backward. We start from the end. We start from the end and try to trace back, go reversely. So the 12 link, the number 12 link is aging and is aging, sickness, and death, aging and death. And number 12 is aging and death, and number 11 is birth. So everyone is growing older, and why we are growing older? Because we were born, and birth and aging and death belong to 11 and 12 link. Okay, so now we are here. The chain is an endless circle of reincarnation. Now we start from number 12. We explain why we are getting older, and because we were born 11 and 12. Okay, and then why were we born into this world? Why we must be born into this world? Why can't we not just stay in heaven? Why? Because we have actually done something and created karma in our previous life. We actually have done some karma. And the way we acted, the way we create karma, we just like plant a seed into a soil. And what seed we plant will determine what fruit we harvest. So we will reap what we sow. So because the fruition of our action is determined by the action itself, so it is called becoming. Because what the future will become will determine by the action we've done. So our action will determine what our future will become. So the stage of doing some karma, doing some actual action to create karma is called becoming. And in Chinese, we say you already have some karma. And in English, it translated as almost all translation, all version of translation translate this 10th link as becoming. And the karma involves physical, mental, and verbal karma. That means whatever we do, whatever we think, whatever we say, will create karma for ourselves. So we need to be careful. All right, so now we are here, becoming the 10th link. And then, why do we take action to create karma? Number 10, we say we have done something to create karma. And why do we decide to take action to create karma? Because we have made up our mind. We have made definite plans. We have made a decision to create karma, to take action. And what plans, what decision? Based on our, based on if we feel that something is we love it very much, we crave for this thing, then we will decide to adopt it. We will make the decision of adoption. That means yes. And if something we feel not present, we will try to avoid it, and that means no. So the decision means yes or no. So the 9th link means either we decide to adopt or we decide to reject it. And this is the 9th link. And because we made a decision, so we have the 10th link. We actually do something to create karma, and then after the karma was created, so we have to be born to this world. And after we were born, we need to go through the process of getting older, and then death. So now we are at this 9th link, adoption. So up to now, the adoption is still it belongs to mental, no action at all. Not until the 10th link do we do actual action. Okay, and then why do we make decision to adopt or to reject something? Why? Because we have developed love or hate inside of our mind. And this love or hate is very strong emotion. So you can see the fist, very strong. It's very determined, very strong emotion, love it or hate it. And in real life, if there is a pleasant feeling, then we will wish to keep that feeling. If there is an unpleasant feeling, then we will want to avoid that. So our mind becomes involved in grasping or loathing, which means our mind becomes involved in love or hate. So because of love or hate, or because of so-called grasping or loathing, then we will make the 9th decision, 9th link to decide to do something. So now we are at the 8th link because we develop love or hate, and this love or hate belong to strong emotion. And why do we have such strong emotion? Number 8, that's because of number 7. Because number 8 is dependent on number 7. Because we have feelings. So why do we love or hate someone or something? Because we have developed pleasant or unpleasant feelings when encountering the environment. Okay, when encountering with the environment, if there are pleasant or unpleasant feelings arising, we will want to maintain and continue the experience or avoid and reject the experience. And this leads to the 8th link, love or hate. So the 8th link, love or hate, a strong emotion, is dependent on the 7th link, feeling. Right? So we are here, feeling. And why do we have feeling? Because we have contact with the outer world. we contact the outer world through our faculties. Like we can see the lotus flower right on the screen. And I think most of us will consider it beautiful because our eye is contact with the flower. And we have 6 senses. So through our 6 senses, we contact the outer world. So we have contact, and then we have feeling, and then we develop love or hate, and then we decide to adopt or reject, and then we take action, create karma, and after creating karma, we have to be born, and then go through aging and death, and that is life. So we are going to trace to the origin to see why are we here. So because in previous life, we have contact with the outer world, and our inner self contacts the objects in the outer world through one's faculties. So now we are here. We have contact with the outer world. All right. So what are our faculties to contact the outer world? We have 6 faculties here. We have 5 senses plus mind. And in the mom's womb, when we were still inside of our mom's body, our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body develop or developing, as does the brain. And because these organs will eventually allow our perception of the world to enter, so they are called the perceptual entrances. And we have 6 perceptual entrances, and also called 6 senses, or also called 6 doors. 6 doors allow the outer world to enter our mind. All right, so we are here. We have the 6 perceptual entrances. And then why do we have 6 perceptual entrances? Because we are a human being. And when we were very small, we were a baby. And when we were inside our mother's womb, what were we? We were name and form. When one is still inside of the mother's womb, one is called name and form. And name and form is the fusion of consciousness and embryo. Consciousness is the spiritual part and embryo is the physical part. And why do we call our spiritual part as name? Because name refers to the consciousness, and which is present only nominally. When we are still in our mom's womb, our consciousness present, but only nominally. Why? Because our consciousness did not emerge yet. For example, we know we have 6 senses, so we have 6 consciousness, 6 sense consciousness. So let's take eye consciousness as an example. One cannot have the eye consciousness until there are eyes to see. One cannot have the ear consciousness until there are ears to listen. So when we were still in our mom's womb, our consciousness not emerged yet, so we call it as name. Only have the name of consciousness, but no function, okay? And also form. Form means embryo. So the fusion of consciousness and embryo, Buddha give it a name called name and form. In Chinese, we say 名色. All right, so we are here, name and form. And why do we have name and form? Name and form is dependent on one's consciousness. And one's consciousness is conditioned by one's actions. Of course, the action was done in even previous life. Okay, in one's previous life, one's actions planted seeds in one's consciousness. No matter whatever we said, whatever we thought, whatever we do, we planted seeds in our consciousness. and the seeds must sprout and grow. So our consciousness is just like the soil. And when we plant the seeds in the soil, we plant the seeds, we do something to plant seeds in our consciousness. It's just like to plant a seed in the soil. And the seed must sprout and grow. So once consciousness is meant to reincarnate into a new body in order for to allow the seed to sprout and grow. So the incarnation into a new body, that's why we become name and form in our mother's womb. So number 4, we have to talk about, we have name and form. Name and form is dependent on our consciousness. And this consciousness is conditioned by our actions in even previous life. Okay, so now we are here. Now we trace back to number 3. Okay, and one's consciousness is conditioned by one's karmic creation. The second link is karmic creation. Karma literally means action. And why do we create karma? Because due to ignorance, our mind has disturbing emotions of passion or desire, that means greed, or we have anger or aggression, and we have stupidity. Due to ignorance, our mind is troubled. So therefore, one performs unvirtuous actions and create bad karma. For example, one has harmed another being by killing. And then in the future, one's own life force will be damaged. One might be killed or one might be very sick. So one has to shoulder the consequences that he has planted the seed before. And that called karma. And that karmic energy will be stored in one's consciousness and condition one's consciousness and make the consciousness to reincarnate into a new body and become name and form. So name and form is the third link. So the second link that we are going backward. The third link is because of our karmic action. So we condition our consciousness. And that's why our consciousness needs to reincarnate into a new body. So then why do we create bad karma? Why do we bother to create bad karma? Since bad karma just do us nothing good, only bring us trouble. But we can't control ourselves because of ignorance. Karmic creation is dependent on ignorance. Ignorance is the basis for all the other links. And ignorance means not knowing the true nature of existence. So ignorance means not knowing. Knowing what? Knowing the truth, the true nature of existence. In Chinese, it's even more easier for us to understand. In Chinese, ignorance translated as 无明. And 无明 means without light, full of darkness. So think about it. If we lead a life of darkness, 无明, it's like fumbling, walking in the darkness. We will encounter many trouble. It might be very dangerous, and we will repeatedly make mistakes. And maybe we fumble, stumble, and we fall, and eventually we fail. It's all because we cannot see, because we are in the darkness. Okay, so 无明. Why 无明? Why ignorance? Because we started to ignore our true nature. If we can preserve and restore our true nature, then we have light, we have spiritual light. But sentient beings tend to ignore their true nature. They tend to pursue the outer world through their 6 senses. So by ignoring our true nature, we project things we project things which do not exist, and we are deluded and confused. And although there is no self, but we have strong ego, we are under the illusion of self. And although everything is impermanent, but we incorrectly project permanence onto everything. Although we are getting older and older moment by moment, we imagine maybe we can still forever young. And we falsely believe that things like material possessions, satisfaction of desires will bring lasting happiness. So our ignorance give rise to confusion, and thus the samsaric world is generated. And all sufferings are generated from the root cause of ignorance. So ignorance is the root. But from another perspective, this is a good news. Why? Because it means that if we remove that ignorance, and all the sufferings can be eliminated. And ignorance is delusion. It's a false projection. It's not there. The truth is emptiness, but we project ignorance. So we are troubled. So if we can understand the truth, then we can get out of the suffering. So here it says, if samsara and suffering were real and solid, and not just due to the confusion of our own mind, then they would be almost impossible for us to get rid of. And since the problem is the confusion and ignorance of our mind, so by cultivating our mind, we can become liberated. So we always heard this quote, cultivating Tao is cultivating our mind. Yes. By cultivating our mind, we can become liberated. So there is a story in Buddhist scripture, a story of mistaking a rope for a snake. Since ignorance is the root of our suffering, if we eliminate this mistaken view, the misery of samsara will go away. So the story goes like this. A man went into a dark room and saw a coiled rope. And out of ignorance, he believed that the rope was a snake. And then he was full of fear and other painful and disturbing emotions. But in fact, there was only confusion. There was no snake at all. There was only a rope. So eventually, when he calmed down and he examined the truth, he realized that there was no snake at all, and all his feelings of panic and anxiety soon disappeared. So if samsara, which is quite frightening with all its pain and suffering, if samsara were real, then to be free of it would be extremely difficult. But because samsara's very root is our own ignorance and confusion, then once we get rid of this, all of the problems will be solved. So it's a good news to know that. So now we are at the root cause, ignorance. So we trace back from the end to the very beginning, and then we want to make a quick review, start from the beginning and toward the end. Then we will have a better understanding of the 12 links of dependent origination. Okay, due to ignorance, because ignorance is without wisdom, is darkness. So because of our ignorance, our mind has disturbing emotions, greed, anger, and stupidity. Therefore, we perform unvirtuous actions and create bad karma, and then we have to harvest our consequence. And that's why we have consciousness. Our consciousness is conditioned by our previous action, by our bad karma. So the karmic energy is stored in our consciousness, and our consciousness is conditioned by the karmic energy we have created. So in other words, our actions plant seeds in our consciousness. Our consciousness is just like the soil, and what we do, we plant seeds inside of the soil, and then the seed needs to sprout and grow. And once consciousness meant to reincarnate into a new body. So the conditioned consciousness will try to find its parents to be and enters the mother's womb. And then he becomes name and form. Name is the consciousness and form is the embryo. We have talked about that. Okay, so the fourth link is name and form. And then the embryo is growing inside of the mother's womb. And actually the 6 faculties are developing when we are still inside of mother's womb. And we have 5 sense faculties plus mind. So in the womb, the 6 faculties are developing, eventually allow our perception of the world to enter. So the 6 faculties called 6 perceptual entrances, allow the outer world to enter our mind. All right. And because we have 6 perceptual entrances, we have contact with the world outside. And actually, to make in detail, the contact can be divided into internal contact with the mom and external contact with the environment. When we're still in our mom's body, the baby has contact with mom physically and mentally. When the mom feels happy, the baby is happy. When the mom feels sad, the baby is sad. When the mom is always mad, always have a lot of tantrum, then the baby come out habitually to have a tantrum. So people always talk about internal education. Internal education should start while the 6 senses in the embryo is developing. So this encouraging all the female, all the ladies, if the ladies are pregnant, then hope all the ladies try to be compassionate, considerate, peaceful, and have all the good virtue, all the good characteristics. Then we will have we will give birth to a baby who is virtuous and who maybe grow into an adult, can do a lot of good things to better the world. And the education should start inside of mom's body. It's called internal education. And of course, the trouble comes from external contact with the environment when a baby is born. Okay. And when we have contact with the external world, we have feelings. And some feelings are pleasant, some feelings are unpleasant, some feelings are neutral. But to make it simple, today we don't talk about neutral feelings. We just talk about pleasant feeling and unpleasant feeling. Pleasant feelings will lead us to grasping, to love something. And unpleasant feeling will lead us to loathing, to hate someone or something. So 7th link and 8th link coming from what? Coming from contact from the world. That's why we have feelings, and that's why we have strong emotions. And the strong emotions will drive us to make decisions. Decisions either to adopt or to reject. If we love it, we want to adopt it. If we hate it, we want to reject it. And up to now, all these are still mental. No actual action yet. For this life, no actual action yet, still mental. But 10th link is the actual action. After one decides to adopt or reject, one will take actual action, and actual action leads to karma. So whatever we do, whatever we think, whatever we say, we create karma, and karma will decide what our future will become. So this stage, actual action, the stage is called becoming, because it decides what our future will become. So since we have created karma and our consciousness is conditioned, so our consciousness needs to find a new body. So we have we have 6 senses and contact with the outer world. We have feelings, and we develop love or hate, and then we decide to adopt or reject. We create karma, and the karmic energy conditions one's consciousness, which will reincarnate into a new body and go through the process of aging and death. That's the 11th and 12th link. And now we from beginning to the end, and when we are at the end, we will start all over again. So it is an endless cycle of a reincarnation. So how to get away from the endless cycle? Let's look at the 12 links. In the beginning of this session, we start from number 12, and we say this life, we are getting older. We take this as this life and this as previous life. But when we look at the 12 link, usually people will divide the 12 links into 4 categories. Number 1 and number 2 belong to past causes. Past causes means the causes we have created in our past life. And number 3 through number 6 belong to present effects. Present effects means the consequences we have to take this life. And the consequences was due to the causes we created in our past life. So number 1, number 2 belong to past cause. Number 3 through 6 belong to present effect. And these are something we can't change. There's no way for us to change. We cannot change the past. And since we have done something, we have to accept the consequences. The consequences, there is no excuse, okay? But we have now. The only thing we can seize, the only moment we can seize is here and now. Now we have present cause. Present cause is number 7 through number 10, 7, 8, 9, 10. And dependent on what we have done, this life will determine what we will harvest in the future, next life. So number 11 and 12 are future effects. So we can't change the past. We can't predict the future, but we can seize this life and make a difference. So today, actually, make a difference. Seize this life, make a difference. It's all about the purpose of Tao cultivation. Because we want to seize this life and make a difference. That's why we need to receive Tao and learn, cultivate, preach, propagate, and practice Tao. Okay. So since we want to break the chains of the 12 links, so we need to find a way out. Where do we start? Here is a holy revelation, a quote from the holy revelation of our 不修习菩萨, Never Resting Bodhisattva, 标准从德人. We translate 标准从德人 as a noble 从德 cultivator. The first quote from 标准从德人 is 标本兼治智慧生 is treat those the symptoms and root cause. If a person is sick, then this sick person called a patient, the patient has many symptoms, right? And the cause of the disease is the root cause. Root cause may be inside, and all the symptoms are outside. And a patient is physically sick, and a sentient being is spiritually sick. So as a sentient being, we need to learn how to treat our symptoms and root cause of the 12 links of dependent origination. Okay, to treat the root cause, we do not treat root cause, we eradicate the root cause. The root cause is ignorance. Okay, let's see, how do we eradicate ignorance? We have all received Tao. And our 前人不修习菩萨 told us, the day we received Tao, our holy teacher has opened the door. Our holy teacher has opened a door for us, the door leading to our inner spiritual light. So on the day we receive Tao, every new Tao receiver, upon his or her face, there is a very, very small spiritual light already emerged, very, very small. And through our life, we need to learn, practice, preach, propagate, and practice Tao. It's trying to guard, to protect the spiritual light and make it shine, make it illuminate our inner world and the outer world as well. So this spiritual light, our 不修习菩萨 in her holiness, holy revelation, 不修习菩萨 said, calm down and be sincere. Reflect upon the true spiritual light constantly. Calm down and be sincere. Reflect upon the true spiritual light constantly. And there is a quote from the Platform Sutra. The sixth patriarch said, as the light of a lamp can break up 1,000 years of darkness. That means a room is full of darkness for 1,000 years, very, very long time, for ages, full of darkness. But as long as one day, just a single lamp, the light of a single lamp can break up the darkness for 1,000 years. So a spark of wisdom can do away with 10,000 years of ignorance. So as we have discussed that ignorance in Chinese, we translate it as 无明. 无明 means darkness. In darkness, we need what? We need light. So upon receiving Tao, we have opened, a holy teacher has opened the door for us. So we have a very small spiritual light already emerging. And through learn and cultivate and propagate and accumulate merits and virtues, we try to guard our spiritual light and make it shine. And as long as our light is there, our ignorance has nowhere to be present. Our ignorance naturally disappears. So to eradicate the root cause, ignorance, is to light up the light, protect it, and make it shine. Okay, so we have eradicated the root cause, right? And we need to treat both the symptoms and the root cause. And let's talk about the symptoms. The symptoms, we have talked about what we can do is from number 7 to number 10, this life. This, the present cause is what we can work on. So number 7, feelings. We cannot avoid the 6 perceptual entrances. We cannot avoid 6 senses. And we cannot avoid contact with the world. But we can decide how do we feel the contact. The feelings can be decided by us. So let's see, how do we treat the symptoms caused by the 7th link. Here is a very famous quote from ancient cultivator. An ancient cultivator said, if we want to control our feeling, we better 事来不受. No matter what happened in the circumstances, we stay calm and undisturbed. When circumstances arise, Because we need to know that in this earthly world, nothing is real. Everything is the product of causes and causes and conditions. When causes and conditions meet, then something is emerging. But this is only illusion, not real. The truth is emptiness. Nothing is real. So although we cannot comprehend that into that depth, but we have this concept, nothing is real. We can try. We try to stay calm and undisturbed when circumstances arise by do not let the external world enter our mind. Like someone said something bad to us, if we accept it, we believe it, then we are hurt, but we do not let this negative thing enter our mind. This is attitude we can control, right? Do not let the negative influence enter our mind. And then we will neither like or dislike it. No matter good, someone said good words, say praise to us. We do not feel flattered. We do not enjoy hearing something, some praising words. If we enjoy it, then we will suffer from someone who says something bad about us. So do not let external world enter our mind. Then we will neither like or dislike it. And then we will neither adopt or reject it. And therefore, we don't create karma. And since we don't create karma, we will not suffer. 自来不受, stay calm and undisturbed. But there is a question. People might ask, if you stay calm and undisturbed, it seems like you don't have feelings. Then if we neither like or dislike someone or something, then how do we make decisions when dealing with people or matter? How can we propagate Tao? How do we have wisdom if we have no feelings? No, this is a very good question. We can learn from the nature. We have seen morning sunlight. Like the morning sunlight gently touches every blade of the grass and the flowers. The sunlight touches blades of grass and flowers without discrimination. If there is garbage in the neighborhood, the sunlight will touch the garbage too, without discrimination. So we learn from the nature that the radiance of our true nature, that our spiritual light lead us in dealing with people and matters. If we can apply our spiritual light when dealing with people and matter in our day-to-day life, we can deal with people and matters without what? Without prejudice, without preference, without being demanding, without being manipulative, without attachments. We are free, we are kind, compassionate, loving, and happy. And we can do a lot of things. And that's a true cultivator, isn't it? So we don't need feelings. We don't need feelings originating from ignorance to live a life. We can let our spiritual light to guide us to lead a life full of hope, full of compassion, full of forgiveness, full of tranquility and peace. Okay, let's go to 标本兼治. So suppose we have treated the symptom of the seventh link, and let's go to the symptom of the eighth link, grasping. What if What if we haven't controlled our feeling, and then we have developing strong emotion like love or hate? And at this moment, what should we do? What should we do? We do not control our feeling well. We have let the outer world inside enter our mind and influence our mind, and we have trouble, we have strong love or hate. What should we do? Our holy teacher said, you may not be able to see through the illusion of light, but you can take it lightly. You can take it lightly. We carelessly let feelings to touch the world, and we develop pleasant or unpleasant feelings. But we can take all this with something we feel pleasant or something we feel unpleasant, we take them lightly. For example, if people do something to harm our benefit, and then we decide to take revenge, then we are in great trouble. Then we are trapped in reincarnation. But if we can take things lightly, if we comprehend that the world is impermanent and everything is transient as a fleeting cloud, and let it be, let it be. No strong love, no strong hate. Therefore, no adoption, no rejection, no karma created, and eventually no suffering. Another quote similar to this. Another quote. Respond when circumstances arise and restore tranquility when subside. Yes, in this world, we need to deal with a lot of things. We need to take action, we need to respond. But we respond in moderation when circumstances arise, and then restore our tranquility. After the thing has done, we don't let the memory confuse us and trouble us. We let it be, let it go. When circumstances subside, our tranquility is with us. 四来则应，四去则静. Take things lightly. And this is the suggested treatment for the eighth link, the symptom of the eighth link. Then how about adoption and becoming? Adoption means we already develop strong love or hate, and then we want to make decision. But here, can we control ourselves? Oh, we have no control at all. We just follow our mind, love or hate, and follow its command. We have a chance to do something. Again, merciful words from our holy teacher. Our holy teacher's merciful words do not repeat a fault, 不恶过. Do not repeat a fault is a famous quote from the Analects. And this is the suggested treatment for 9th and 10th link. Our holy teacher said, not to repeat a fault, okay? We do not make the same fault twice. That means do not repeat a fault. Holy teacher said, if we have a wrong thought, that is one fault. And then if we put the wrong thought into action, that is to repeat the fault. That is make the same fault twice. The same fault, wrong thought, and put it into action. The same fault, make it twice. So not to repeat the fault is to control oneself from putting the wrong thought into action. Then one is practicing not to repeat a fault. So we know the 9th link is adoption, right? Is to make decision. And the 10th link is to create karma, to take actual action. So before we make decision, or maybe we have made decision, but before we really take action, we hold back, control ourselves from putting it into real action, then we are practicing this principle, not to repeat a fault. Then we are still have chance to prevent us from creating karma. So not to repeat a fault is the suggested treatment for the symptom of the 9th and 10th link. Okay, the conclusion for today. The purpose of cultivation, as a great sage Mencius states, when people release their dogs and chickens from their confinements during the day, they know they should find them back in the evening. In ancient China, many people, farmers, they raise chickens, they keep domestic animals for to make a living. So the chickens, the domestic animals are their property, are their money. So if any one of them go away, they will try their best to find them back. No one can get away. They try to find them back. But Mencius take this example as a contradiction to what? To people's attitude toward their mind. Mencius that conversely, when people allow their minds to wander, they do not know that they should bring them back. I remember there was a very old song, English song called just like I lost my heart in San Francisco or what? I lost my heart in San Francisco. That means a person was traveling to San Francisco, and then after he went back to his home, and then he still, strong attachment to someone in San Francisco, and he thought that it was very beautiful, and eventually become a song, a very public song. So people allow their minds to wander, and then they do not know that they should bring them back, and then they even thought that this is beautiful. They did not know that their mind wander away from home. Where is the home of our mind? It's our origin, our true nature. Our mind wander away from home, from the origin, through the 6 doors, the 6 entrances into the world, and never come back. And that's why we are trapped in the endless cycle of the 12 links of dependent origination. We go through birth and death, over and over again. And that is because our minds are wandering away and do not be found back. So Mencius said, the purpose of cultivation is merely about seeking and bringing back the wandering mind. If we can bring back our wandering mind, then we have achieved the purpose of cultivation. So the last, of course, the most important, the last slide and the most important slide, bring our wandering minds back and reflect upon our true nature. Let's break the links of the life, this life, because all we can do is this life, seize this life, break the links, 7, 8, 9, 10. Our feelings, our grasping, our adoption, and the becoming. If we can break them, then the chain is broken. Break the links of this life and eradicate the root cause, ignorance. By what? By our spiritual light. So may all be liberated from the circle of the 12 links of dependent origination. And this is the end of my sharing. If I have made any mistakes, I beg God and Buddha to forgive me. I hope Master and lecturers to give me comments. And thank you, brothers and sisters, for your time. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you.
Okay, number 1, please stand up. Okay, number 2, thank you, Speaker Susannah.
Thank you,
And number
Master. Thank you, lecturers. Thank you, brothers and sisters.